song today. We'll have to
That's
do it
okay.
next week.
We're
Yeah.
all good. La 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 la.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody should listen to it. Did you submit it anywhere?
No, so I've been having a crazy week. I'm actually I'm going to do a rough recording of a new one, not for this,
Ooh,
but yeah, it's so interesting because it's to me it's like painting or anything artistic. For
yeah,
me, other people can do it different. I need to be in the mood or
of course,
inspired or whatever, right?
of
And
course.
when I write, I don't go, oh, I'm going to write about this. It's kind of there's melody in that. So this one I wrote, and I'll send you a draft of just the words. I was thinking about it, and it made me, after I wrote it without the intention, made me think it's a little bit of my daughter's journey.
Oh, probably,
It's
right?
so interesting. Well, it's just about moving on and not being stuck and don't listen to the lies and the hate, all this type of stuff, right?
Things that we need to hear right now.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I'm this week's crazy because our fiscal year ends next on June 1st. So
Okay.
I've had lots of work, and then there's just people, the coffee industry is crazy. But and then I felt kind of weird this week. I felt not sick,
Oh,
but lethargic at sometimes,
hmm.
forgetful at sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So so part of it is talk about wellness is part of it. I felt okay, I'm gonna chill. But I am gonna submit it, like we said. You can keep reminding me because I need that
I
reminder.
will. Yeah, and I'll help you, and I'll tell you why. Well, because I'm a helper. But there's pages you can go to submit to multiple stations and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than people think.
I
Yeah,
need to find out though if it needs to be registered because the way it's registered to me, I have a letter I emailed back to myself, stamped not open, that said I wrote this song whatever year. I
sure.
think I was told that was good enough, but anyways,
Yeah, you'll find out. That's exciting
anyways,
though. Right. We have to get out of our comfort zone and check these things out. You never know. Right?
right?
You never know. So hey
So so
everyone.
you know what I want to do?
What?
I want to get a green hat that says
Okay.
MATA. Make again, Tom, again. No, I'm teasing you. I was thinking make Tom great again, but
Yeah,
anyways,
you get too many letters. You got to rework on this.
there you
Good thing
go.
you're good looking. My goodness. Right?
Good thing I was.
That's-
This is AI. Right now you're talking to
Oh
AI.
my gosh. Can we talk about that for a second?
Let's do
So,
that. We can talk about whatever you want.
yeah. So, hold for 1 second. Hi, my name's Michelle. Welcome to our page, our video. Hello, Alan. Glad you're with us today. Good evening. This is my brother and sidekick and partner in crime, Tom. Thrilled to be here with you today. Oh, yay. Alan is prepping food and listening in. I love it. Let's give her a cheer. Hey, cheers for Alan. You need to get some pom poms, Tom. Some tom toms, Pom. So, oh, he's listening. Alan, there you go. You just
That
got
was
your
for you
dude.
only. Only
Oh,
for you
see, you're our number one fan. I love it. So here's where I'm struggling right now.
with
Well,
Al.
yeah, I got a lot, but this is my one thing.
Okay.
So seeing these AI videos, OMG, I sent you one, I think it's or no, I don't know. I sent a couple people one. I've been seeing singing and talking cats. I've been seeing talking babies. I
The
saw
baby ones.
talking what?
The baby ones.
The baby ones. Have you
They're
seen
creepy. Oh yeah.
so creepy. But then, if you've never had an aha moment about the state of the world, this is it. Like, I watched some of them, and I mean, we've been seeing them roll out for a significant period of time where you can tell their faces don't match or whatever, you know what I mean? But now they're so advanced, I feel and like I'm just not going to trust anything I see anymore. It's just we even was saw. Look at that, I'm talking like you. I
Now I know it's not the real Michelle. She would never do that.
yeah, exactly. So I even saw this one promotion for for your company, for example, if they wanted to do a training video and send it out to all the staff. You pick your avatar, which looks like an absolutely human person, and then you write out what they're saying. Training will begin. Hey, and I get it, it's cost effective and everything, but with all the stress, the misinformation, all the nonsense that we see online, we're next level. That's, I don't know, like we could see anybody who's a very well known personality, any of them, go on. We could see Trudeau come on and say Tom Paul's the greatest. And
Yeah.
people would be like, well, we know he is, but thanks for saying it out loud. Right? Like
Yeah.
it's,
Thanks, Trudeau. You ruined my reputation. No.
yeah, yeah, last person you want to be buddies with. But
Butters.
I thought it's just so interesting because, full disclaimer, I don't have the skill set. I saw one somebody was talking about recently, and they're showing there's five people in a row, and they're saying, and they're talking about, I don't know, liking eating bugs or something ridiculous. And then the guy that was explaining it says, well, you can tell because their smiles are perfect and their faces are lit up and the lighting's perfect. Dude, who's got that kind of time? I'm not that interested to vet every video I see. You know what I mean? And I thought,
Yeah.
wow, I'm going to just really rethink what I participate in as something that's pressing. I mean, not something that I don't care about, but when it comes to even our prime minister, there's been some videos floating around that he hasn't said. Or, I have my Sarnia Rocks page, and I had, and nothing against this guy if he's watching, but there's somebody who promotes like an Airbnb in the area, and he started submitting uh, good reviews by George Clooney. And then there's some other, and I'm looking, I'm thinking, George Clooney came to Buck wherever, right? And I deleted it. And then he did a different, like Dolly Parton or somebody. And I messaged him and I'm like, I'm just people, somebody's going to believe that. That's just, I know it's, for some people, it would be like, well, everybody would know. Here's a newsflash, everybody won't know,
Yeah.
right? It's
Well,
weird times.
here's the thing that happened a while ago, but you're right. And I got a couple movies I want to talk about that are like I,
Oh,
Robot with Will Smith,
love it.
except
Yep.
they were robots, but all of a sudden, but I saw this is a while ago, a little while ago, a few months back,
Yep.
and I was on YouTube and I saw Justin Bieber singing like these church songs.
Oh,
And
oh,
then I saw like some stars they were using, and you're watching the video of them, but and they're like it's not weird. It looks like they're actually singing these
so
songs.
real.
And
Yeah.
so then I know the one, I don't know if it's Justin Bieber is another one. So I don't know if this like kind of religious Christian group was wanting views. I don't know, right? Wanting exposure. But there was
Yep.
another artist. I don't remember who it was now. I think it was Eminem.
Ooh,
And they said you need to take it down. We're going to charge you.
exactly. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
here's a funny thing, and I'll wagon wheel it back. We might not get
Wagon
to
wheel.
anything else but AI this week, but just saying, right?
Right.
But there was a movie. I got to figure it out, and when I do, I'll try to send it to you. I won't remember the name. There was a movie when I was young, not young like kid, like teenage years or something like that. And the movie is kind of a sci-fi back then, but the movie was about anybody over 30. They sent them to these kind of retreats where they put them to sleep. You know what I mean, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
so this young guy, it's kind of a B movie, but this young guy that was president, like I think it was a world thing, whatever. He was 29 and enjoying the young life. And all of a sudden he knows he's going to be 30. Everybody that turns 30 goes. So then he's trying to figure out how to change the rules.
Right.
So the reason I'm bringing
Interesting.
that to the AI thing, it's not AI, but like the AI robot thing, there's things, saboteurs in a way.
Course.
There's things that we we're ignorant to because they don't want us to know, right?
Of course,
Um,
absolutely.
and it's obscure because they're like right now you mentioned about like they can do this and don't even need people. Well, why do we need
Right.
people? Right. And so it's like the automated banks when they started and all this stuff, right? So we were transgressing down this road and all of a sudden something's gonna go crazy, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's an interesting thing. Sidebar, but with this is I don't know, like I told you some of the shows I watch and some of my friends here, too bad. Like if you know me, if you either like me or you don't, most people like me, but I watch some weird stuff. So, but I was watching, I can't remember the name of the show. I should turn on because I have it recorded. I won't turn it on. I'll find the name. I've got like unexplained or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
what they did, they were showing 2023 where the government opened up all of these closed secret
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
David Duchovny's doing a show right now too, or a series, right? And so I'm watching this, and then I see this YouTube clip, and so they're doing Congress and these people that were air fighters had seen stuff, but they was put away and all this type of stuff. And there's other stuff too, like JFK, like nothing of that. So I'm watching in Congress this politician in the states, Nancy Mace, whatever she's, she's a Republican, but anyway, she's advocate for women's some good stuff, I think.
Yep.
And so I see her sitting in the Congress thing because at first I'm going, is this real? Because these guys are testifying. These are like people in the army
Yep.
or in the air, and they had been shunned and put away and
Oh,
hushed. So all of a
100%.
sudden, they're saying, "This is what I saw. This is what I experienced. What I was trained for." They had videos from the planes. So the reason I'm saying that this world of AI, this floating world, we're like on a what's that show? Wipeout. You ever see that
Oh,
show?
absolutely. On the
We're
big red
like we're
balls.
like the big balls aren't coming to hit us. Maybe it's going to happen, but we're on like the floating bridge that's just so uneven, right?
That's right.
And
I feel that.
I think I don't think it's short. Like this year, outside of crazy bomb stuff, we're behind this. We're not behind the scenes. There's so much stuff behind the scenes that they're setting up for something. You know what? The states, whatever's going on, the good and bad, whatever we think of politics, Canada, states that we
How
say
will we know now?
we're going to know when we turn 30 and they put us in the gated community.
That ship has passed for both of us.
Yeah.
We're the survivors. We're the champions.
But you know what I mean? And here's the thing. So now anxiety, paranoia, well, like you remember the saying, the famous, our first hashtag, what was our first hashtag?
You don't know until you know what you know, and then you know.
You're kind of Peter Panning it, but you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. I know you said the same thing.
Until you know,
I
then
know
you
you
know.
you did it in the Ontario version.
Yeah,
But
right.
but
East
anyways,
Coast.
so we're we're not going to, there's things that are going to come out with AI. So everything I talk, they're outside of AI, but there's the same mindset. We're going to come out with AI stuff that will be too late for the majority to deal with, right? You know
Oh,
what I mean?
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
good grief. I look at, and you probably run into the same thing. Like with WW, everything is app based. It's amazing how many people that eliminates. Never mind AI. Let's go a little deeper. I'm seeing a lot of ads for training people for AI. And it's targeted to seniors. Are you over 65 and you need to catch up or whatever? But the other thing I see a lot and I find equally concerning is, have you seen through social media how you can sign up for your own Facebook boyfriend or AI boyfriend or girlfriend? Yeah, and it's as a salesperson, you would appreciate the pitch. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful human being, absolutely stunning looking, and they will talk to you, they will listen, they'll give you the attention you need. They probably talk dirty to you if you want. That's not in the ad, But when you look at it, and it's so funny, it's quite similar to a lot of the youth, how their social interactions are through gaming. This AI boyfriend or girlfriend is just next level, but out of the game. But it's so interesting as a behavior person when you think of, if uh, let's just use Emily for an example. So let's say Emily turns around and says, you know what? I'm going to invest in an AI boyfriend. And it's great. And it improves her mental health. And she feels listened to. And he's always available and he knows just what to say. And he can play games. They can play solitaire. I don't know, maybe not solitaire because it's two people, but whatever. They can interact. But then why would she go out of that? And I'm only using her for an example
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
she's a single woman. But why would she? I mean, do they age? I wonder. I don't know. But like, what would get her to go and then risk dealing with a human's nonsense? Do you know what? It's just so fascinating. There's a documentary on, I'm going to say on Netflix. I think that's where it is. And I never finished it, but I can certainly share it. And it's a, I say a boy because I'm a nana, but he's probably maybe gets to, he had some sort of degenerative disease. He over time couldn't walk anymore, ended up wheelchair bound, and maybe could only move a finger or something. Well, his parents thought he was a loner and he was alone all the time, but they knew. Um, Alan says maybe I should try it. Yeah. But he was in the World of Warcraft all the time. So then when he died, and then they said, "Well, we know he was on the game, and this is what the whole documentary is about. We know he's on the game. We should post something." So they went on and they just posted a little blurb, just letting you know the character known as Aquaman, whatever it was, that he's no longer whatever. However, they wrote it. Found out he had a girlfriend online because it reminded me actually of the movie Avatar. Remember the guy in the wheelchair and then he could run and he didn't want to come back? Same sort of thing with this kid. And then they met this, oh, their grieving process completely changed because this whole other world opened up for them. And it's so true. Like when you tap into that, you can be any size, shape, smart, other sex, whatever, with no effort needed. You just log into the game and it's just socially. I mean, I have mixed feelings of the whole thing. I'm not going to trust anything official if I'm unsure. But as far as social interactions, we're already so distracted. We're already so tuned into social media, the games, the whatevers, all that stuff. And then the new generation being on camera all the time, that's going to be interesting. It's just interesting how it's going to affect all our social parts. And, because relationships are hard, full disclosure. Doesn't matter if it's your best friend, if it's your partner, it takes work, right? All the time. And giving and taking. I don't think you have to do that with a land. Let us know if you hook up. I don't know if it works that way. I think your
I'm not
AI,
real, Glenn. I'm not real. I'm
yeah.
a fake brother.
Well, we probably got some spares.
Yeah, a couple.
Right? But
Yeah,
yeah, it's just such an interesting, that was not on my bingo card. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, I just
See,
found so interesting.
it's an interesting thing. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to go on silent. You keep talking for 1 second.
Okay, no problem. So yeah, that's just something that's really, yeah, put your head in the grass. That's something that's just really made me think. And, I try to find that balance between being on social media and being off. And then of course I work on Zoom, so I have lots of social interactions, which is good, thank goodness, or I'd be not good mental health wise. I need the social interactions, but it's certainly interesting to see that, like, that's just so next level what you can do. And not, it's like I was talking to Xavier today about, because he's going into grade 8, and then not thinking that we're in 2025. I said, "Are you going to pass?" And then he's like, "Yeah." And then I had a really good conversation with him about, they slide you through in elementary school, but you will fail in high school. And we started talking about the difference and everything. So you and I have talked, and lots of people we've talked about, the world we live in today, with children that were raised with the happy chair and no spankings, right? No, like, everybody got a participation award or whatever. There's a lot of lessons that we all got that they've been bubble wrapped and not got. So I think we're already in a bit of a mess when it comes to that. So if next level has AI nannies, AI boyfriends, AI teachers who always appease them, then what kind of society do we have? Right? There'd be a lot of road ragers. Road ragers, is that a word? We're making it a word.
Well, you might not even. Yeah. So when I wrote down. Well, sorry, I only said it first time last 10 shows. I
You're
wrote
great.
down.
You've been
I
so
did a
good.
good job holding my pen up.
Look at,
I wrote down the psychology of AI. So when you're saying that, I'm thinking multiple things, right? But I'm thinking who with this great invention of the internet and stuff, and there's pros and cons, right? But so
100%.
so who are the ones, probably, think when computers first started, remember they would fill up our whole house, like they were
Yep.
that big, right?
Yeah,
And
I took it in high
so
school.
so you so we came up with this kind of innovative help, grow, whatever we would call it, right?
Well, look
And
at
all of a
us right
sudden,
now.
because we're insatiable,
Yep.
um, we need. So anyways, I was thinking, who are the ones that on the far left, um, are more isolated than most, right? I'm not even thinking of age, but we can put age in there. They're ones that maybe have anxiety, social anxiety. They're
Yep.
ones that have self-view issues. The
For
ones that don't
sure.
feel like they
They'll
measured.
never deal with them. They'll never
Yeah.
deal with
So,
them.
like you said, you can come up with an artificial friend,
Yep.
but something that's going to tell you, like, they're going to, not sugarcoat. Well, sugarcoat. They're just going to appease your thing, right? So, a couple things. Cognitive, because I had this in this thing I did for it. Said AI systems are designed to mimic human cognitive processes like attention, learning, and memory.
Yeah.
But what they end up doing is it's like, algorithms that kind of go, oh, Michelle looked at a brown purse. Okay, let's show brown purses, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
like the movie with Will Smith and AI, except they look like robots. All of a sudden, they realize they don't need us, and they don't. And so now somebody says, well, who would keep the electricity on? We've invented things that can last for 50 years that don't need electricity
That's right.
to be
That's
right,
right.
whatever. Like, I'm
Yeah.
painting these little batteries, whatever, right? So it's interesting, the the who they get the user interface most with. Like, you and me would be probably moderate, YouTube stuff, some learning stuff, this, right?
Sure.
But
But they learn from the person they're interacting with.
yeah,
Right. Because,
but so
yeah,
yeah, and like for you with the job you have at the hotels, right?
exactly what I was just thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens with that? So not with that. They did with the bank tellers first, automated, go online, right? So right now, and you've probably experienced this, you go, okay, I got to talk to my cable company, I got to talk to whatever, and you want to talk to a person. Well, you can't. And then when you do the chat never answers your question, because they go, briefly tell us what you want to hear. Oh, like I did with my Bank Montreal.
Yeah.
I'm going, you're not answering my question.
That's
And
right.
then they said, ask us again. And I'm going, so now I'm just going loopy, right? So
Yeah.
I think they do is they're going to eventually corner us. So right now, globally, because what's going on, leaving majority up, but, people of power, um, global power, different things like globally, not just US, whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
They are looking at, um, especially with the US wanting all the Apple, everything made in the US now, right?
Of course.
It's
Yep.
Apple and all the stuff, right?
Yep.
So I think it's as much as it's about jobs, as much as it is that in other countries around the world that have a step up, certain other countries are going, we want that intelligence for ourselves,
Of course.
spying on our people.
Sure.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
everything's everything. That's why
yeah,
I find it so funny when people say, but they're gonna side note, they're gonna put a chip in you or something. And I think we're all carrying a chip. I don't think they're
100%.
gonna, but it all gets down to the bottom line. Like, I get it, absolutely, monetarily, safety wise. I think I told you I watched a little blip on Elon Musk's new, what was it? Oh, it's a stroller he was making. And it's so cool. No, it was a wheelchair that walks upstairs. So totally cool. And it was cost effective, like starting at 179 American. And
Yeah,
I was okay, Alan, be safe. She's got thunderstorms.
yeah.
But it could like monitor, I talked about it before, it could monitor your ailments through your back. If you're having a heart attack, it would notify somebody. But he was able to charge 179 American starting rate because it's 90% robotically made. So, and even when I worked at Fibrex, insulation plant that the bank repoed, there's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But we were as robotic as possible. We were always adding things in because if nothing else, it was helping the safety of our staff, right? I mean, we had a lot of guys, sadly, we had a lot of guys that left with like rotator cuff injuries, and then they ended up hooked on the perks or the pain pills and that big cycle. Terrible. I always think of that when I see somebody struggling. I think, when did you, like, what was that store, side note, but like what was that story that made you try that first pill? Or because a lot of times they're prescribed and then they don't get the pills anymore and they go to the streets. It's a
So,
sad
so
circumstance.
speaking of that, I have a conspiracy type story that's been out there for a while to do with
Okay.
AI and stuff, right?
Yep.
Here's a question about WW because somebody asked me this today, and I looked it up. So
Okay.
my daughter works for a company that deals with Ozempic in the States. I'm on
Yep.
Ozempic because I'm diabetic. So there's these new products coming out. One's called Wegovy and
Yep.
Zepbound.
Yep.
Is is
Yep.
that a part of a
Yep.
program? Okay, just leave that alone.
But not in Canada. But yeah, no,
Just
we invested in that in the States. Yeah, a couple years ago.
because you can. So same as with my daughter and Sage, you can take that if you want to just use it for weight loss. In Canada, you have to get a doctor. It has to be
That's
considered
right.
through being a diabetic, right?
That's right.
So here's a bit ballpark of everything we're talking about, and then we can talk to your sheets of
Yeah, I'll
information.
get I got my
So
notes. I'll talk fast.
here's this isn't must, I'm not saying it, but this is a thing that was up there a couple of years ago. I didn't know how I heard about it because it was out of not where I get information, right? But it was interesting. And they said, so what, one of the big concerns with um, the powers of the world, there's different powers, different parts of the world, right?
Yep.
But one of the concerns, like let's even say Asia with gazillion people, India and use the states type thing, right?
Yep.
So right now, what you know what our population's at? I
No,
think it's 15
mm,
billion.
for Canada?
Yeah, just Canada. No, the world.
For the world. Oh, okay. Yep, 15 billion.
So
Okay.
I think it's 15 billion. But anyways, so it's the law of duplication. So what's happening, back when there was 1 billion people, like it doubles and doubles and doubles, right? So
Sure.
one of the things you've heard about this, rather, for years, or we probably all have, is things like, oh, we're trying to find where the GMOs, these things coming out because we don't have places to grow. We got to make it in the lab. we're going to try to go to more parts of the ocean because there's more parts of the ocean where we can get kelp food components, right? So
Right.
this guy who does some, and like I said, I don't remember his name because I don't follow him, but this guy said, here's an intriguing thought. So with how smart we are, and the people have the power, we don't have the power. They said, realizing that we are at some point the Earth won't be able to supply mankind,
Sustain us. Right.
sustain us, right?
Yeah.
So so what are the options? So some of the options we've heard is colonization of moon, the Mars, all that stuff, right? But some of it is this. So this guy was saying this, and he's not like some whack job. He's a scientist or psycho. I don't know who. Like I said, I don't. But he's like a doctor type guy, right? But he goes. I think in the future, 20, 30, well, not 20, like 30, 40, 50 years, if we can have majority of our infrastructures running by AI, then we can decrease the population so the earth could sustain it. Because right now, if we have 15 billion and we're going to double in say 20 years,
Mm.
I know that it's not, to be longer than that.
No, I know. I don't
But
have an answer. I'm just, that's my
yeah, but you know
listening.
what I mean though, right? So
I
it's so
do.
anyways, it was intriguing because
That's a
he
big
basically
thing
yeah, he
people
was saying
believe.
like at some point there's gonna be no food in the cupboard.
See, I don't know if I believe any, if I buy into any of that. Like, it's interesting. I've heard it before. I've seen lots of people talk about it. That's why, like, did you ever follow the Georgia Guidestones? Do you know what
I
I'm
don't know.
talking about?
I
Okay.
might. I'm old.
Okay. Well, they were recently um intentionally exploded, but that's it. I'll send you a video on them. Sandy and I used to talk about them quite a bit, but on there it's got like sort of like a 10 commandments, but it was 10 rules to make a sustainable world or something, and it
Yeah.
was in the 8 main languages of the world, and it was like one religion, one government, and then the world had to be down to, and we looked it up recently, Sandy and I actually, like 500 million or something to make it sustainable. So it's interesting, the theory, but then you can hear somebody equally educated say like say the opposite. We need to have more babies because one, people aren't choosing to have babies like they used to. And then number two, now for whatever reason, you can say it is whatever you want, now we have a lot of fertility issues that were never heard of before.
But you're right. So check this out, right? If I can find it, I'm going to send you a thing about
Yeah, do it.
population information, right?
Yep.
So what's happening? China, a long, long time ago, said, "Hey, we're overcrowding. You're only allowed one baby." And so we know the story. They want to have a son or a boy
But
because
now
that's
they have
health.
a population shortage. Have you seen that?
Yeah. So I think
Bad
they've gone
idea.
to two now. India has no guidelines because
Yep.
most of their third world poor, right? So
Right.
even the states at 100 million people, 100 or 300, anyways, 100. Let's say 100.
I don't know, but they're full.
But
They're
but
so
this
full.
thing, because I was talking about this before, this thing about choosing to have baby, artificial baby, um, different kind of genders wanting baby, all these types of things, right? You
Yep.
still need the two components. You need the cereal and the milk,
Absolutely. Right.
cereal and the milk.
That's right.
But but it would be interesting, as long as our show goes, that in the back of our mind, not in a fearful way, but we're doing mental wellness. So this is a bit to do with people's fears and
Absolutely.
paranoias, right?
That's right.
So
Anxiety.
so so I do think it's intriguing watching population growth. And
Hmm.
one of the guys I really like, and I'll leave it, I'm going to butcher his name, David Attenborough.
Yep.
And
I've
his
heard
last
it.
video we did, and I like his voice actually. So I don't even need, he doesn't have to tell the truth. His voice, like, oh, this guy's great, right? But even the last one he did was part of like you said, we need like in the rainforests of Brazil, and that we need these ecosystems. We need this
That's
for
right.
the air,
That's right.
and we're like freaking locusts. We eat and devour and destroy.
Yep.
So, anyways, let's talk good stuff. Let's talk about
Yeah,
happy,
okay, let's talk
how
about
to
some good
survive.
stuff. Yeah, so yeah, it ties in nicely with survival. So, uh, so, so first of all, hope everybody had a wonderful long weekend. Tom and I
Yep.
made a decision a couple long weekends ago that we're going to take long weekends off, even if we're laying on the couch not doing anything. Me, we're still going to enjoy a 3 day break. So
But
that's
we're
what we
smart,
did this
right?
weekend. Yeah,
But we're
well,
smart.
you know what? Consistency. Because some holidays we have big dinners or traveling or whatever. So, but the week before that, we had talked about living economically. And there was just, first of all, way too much to put in 1 hour. Now I'm going to pack everything in 24 minutes. But I ended up with a page of information that actually was broken off nicely. And it was really all about just getting back to the basics. And the one thing that really jumped out to me on this little cheat sheet, if you will, that I made was like buying water. There's an expense that so many people do. You buy bottled water?
Mom does. No, I have a Brita filter thing.
Exactly. Look at all the money you save. That Brita was probably, I just bought Nicole one, and I think it was $20. Came with two inserts, which
Yeah,
right there, that's the value.
yeah,
Um, I don't do bottled water because I have educated myself on water sitting in plastic,
yeah.
right? So that we could do a whole talk on plastic. But yeah, when you think about different things that you do in your day to day, where buying water is a good example. We talked a little bit about cooking at home, right? Simple recipes, they don't have to be complicated. And then avoiding waste, right? One of the things I talk to a lot of my groups about, I have a mental issue with wasting food. And it's definitely, yeah, so I'll eat it, which is not good because I have portion distortion when
I
I
was
do
gonna
that, right?
I was gonna say portion control. I
Yeah.
have these beautiful like high-end restaurant plates that I have last restaurant I had, right? And
Yep.
I have a big 12-ounce plate and then I have an 8-ounce plate, right?
Yep.
So the funny thing is with this, our history of man, we and this has to do with my doctor who talked to me about medicine and being a diabetic. The way our scientific our body is, we we wouldn't eat 3 times a day or 4 times a day or 5 times a day. Back in hundreds of years ago, we may have ate once a day. We may ate, depending on our status, every 2 3 days, right?
Oh, for
So
sure.
so somehow we've created this, um, and it's gluttony, but we've created this desire, and I get in trouble. You'll figure this out. I get in trouble when I talk about drug addiction, whatever. Food addiction is probably the number one
Hmm.
uh, in a Western world, right? But
Yep.
anyway, portion control. Anyways, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's by design. So there's like, who made everything supersized? That wasn't you and me. That was corporations. If we make it, they'll eat it. I watched another really good documentary a couple years ago, and it was all on cheese. And it talked about how cheese used to be presented differently on like the Canadian Food Guide, and the way it was set up made people think cheese is good, lots of cheese, you need lots of cheese. Then we found a lot of cheese isn't good, right? So somebody that's official came out and said, you know what? You guys need to slow down on the cheese. So you know what the cheese overlords did? They said, hey, let's make some new cheese products. So they got Pizza Hut to do cheese crust.
Right.
They got KFC to do, and I can't remember what they're called, but do you remember when they had chicken and then cheese and then like there was no bread?
Mozzarella, mozzarella
Yeah,
bites.
there's something. It was like a huge burger, like two pieces of chicken with cheese and stuff, and like so. That's what they did to get around what was wanted for like better for our health. then what they did is they put it on sale or they threw it into other things that we would buy anyways, right? So we just, I think knowledge is key, and realizing like whenever I do boneless, skinless chicken, I always have, I never make my way through the whole thing. I always end up having some left. I eat as much as I can because I paid for it. See, I
Right.
have Weight Watcher Michelle and then I have Frugal Michelle. So then, or I'll share it with the cats. So what I've started doing is I cut it in half, and then are you here? Are you, what are you doing?
I'm listening. I'm trying to find something that I
You
can share in
watching
a
the
minute.
hockey game? Is there a hockey game?
No,
Okay.
I'm on Netflix. I'm looking for the show Rotten that I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Oh, that might have been where I saw that about. No, I don't think so about the cheese.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So it's a lot of times for our generation, if you were told as a child you had to eat everything on your plate, that is hard coded in your brain, right? And it's funny because I was talking to Robert, my middle child, about it one day, and I said that I never make his kids, who are my grandchildren, clean their plate. I now have better eating habits that I can share with that generation. But I was sort of joking with Rob, and I was saying, you know, when I was a kid, I had to eat everything on my plate. When Rob was a kid, because I was always living paycheck to paycheck, then he just had to eat the meat. I didn't care about the cheap things, but I paid money for that meat, Robert. You're going to eat it. So it's so interesting how we've transitioned, right? I have feel like I have to eat my whole plate. He still feels like he has to eat his meat. And then hopefully, God willing, knock on wood, the next generation's a little bit better because it's these, you know, it's our parents living in lack and scarcity or always being on a diet that has affected our generation, and then it trickles down as well, right? It's so fascinating how these things are hard coded in there, but if
Yeah.
you work through it and you say, you know what, I don't have to throw it out, I can make it into another meal, or I can, you know, whatever, that's going to help you. But it's going to help you save money. It's going to help you mentally. The other thing I was going to mention is buying in bulk, or just even being prepared, having a list, not shopping at the variety store,
Yeah. So
right?
here's what's going to, yeah. So Emily, if you listen to this, I apologize. She's stuck in a small town and she has a small grocery store that is probably
That's
two,
hard.
3 times more expensive than Walmart, right?
Yeah.
So she's stuck moving back, right? But let me throw a few things out that I think is
Throw
important.
them out.
First of all, Michelle, hey, if we go over, if people don't want to listen to us to the end, we're trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
But if we need to go a bit over, we're going to go over because this is important stuff, right?
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
so our appetite. So the reason I'm saying that. So as an ex chef, right? This whole idea of portioning and buffets and all of these things, and because I'm in sales, a lot of it is about marketing and making money.
Of course.
It's about
Yeah.
cheapening the product, putting more things in it so it's less expensive, and
Yeah.
then putting things in it that makes you want more, right? The joke,
Exactly.
joking, but the joke about Chinese food, you're always hungry an hour later, half an hour later.
Oh, it's empty carbs.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So I wrote a few things, right? So part of it is this. So I think of that. We have to, if we like you're talking earlier about like we kind of believe in a way what we're told, and it's doctors that need this, do this, right? We have to become truth tellers to ourselves. So part of it is common sense, and part of it is what goes in can have an effect. What goes in. If you've got a truck that needs diesel and you put regular gasoline in it, you're going to affect the engine,
Exactly.
right?
That's right.
So
Yeah.
the show Rotten. So this
Yeah.
is one part of the show Rotten. Did you see it?
I did.
Yeah, it's so good. I'll probably watch it again. I didn't know it was still there. It's so good because it talks about one of the things they talk about was peanut allergies and these things, right?
Yep.
And they talked about how in the 50s, it was a peanut farmer family that was multi-generation, said we didn't have all these allergies 50 years ago.
Right.
So what's different, right? Could it be
Yep.
pollutants in the air? Could be multiple things,
Yep.
but the peanut in his farm, they're not genetically modified. They're peanuts, right? It's
Yep.
like in Canada, cheese and apples, right? And so what I've heard, if I'm wrong, tell me next time,
Yep.
is apples, every apple outside of some places in England has been they're not original. They've all been not spliced. What do they call it?
Genetically
Cross.
yeah, cross pollen,
Yeah.
and then they
That,
spray them too to turn them
yeah.
red.
So so
So
so
bad.
so all of these different things, right? So the
Yeah.
same thing with cheese. When I was in England, the nice thing about cheese is now the old, like, just the way you make cheese, but if you want to make it shelf stable here and you want to make it the American cheese, plastic cheese, all this stuff,
Oh,
all of a sudden to do shelf stable or these things, they're putting something in.
that's
So
right.
the thing I was going to say, the last two things. So allergy, I said addictive additives.
Yes,
So,
100%.
and like you've said, and we've championed as much as we can, is if you are on a budget and everything's getting higher and you're having issues with just basics, then this is a little bit we're going to tell you, right? One of the
Mhm.
things that I switched to, Michelle, and for a couple of reasons, is I don't buy chicken breast no more. You know what I buy? I buy
Okay.
chicken thighs.
Yeah.
And chicken breasts are crazy out here. It's like
Oh, they're
it used to
crazy
be
here
like
too.
$20 for four, and they're frozen, pre-frozen, whatever.
Wow.
But I buy the chicken thighs, and I actually get a proper, like, probably 4 ounces of meat, all
Good. I
skinless.
think I've heard
So
that from someone else.
so I don't need, and then I do exactly what you say. So when Ethan's not here, what I'll do is I'll cook that off in my little oven. I've got an oven above my oven, like a little, like,
Toast
convection oven,
oven. Yep.
and I'll cook it. And then what I'll do, and I'm reworking my meals or my diet, but I'll cook it. I'll have it with, if it's a starch or salad, whatever. Then I still have like another 4 or 5 pieces for the rest of the week.
Excellent.
And if
Yeah.
I want to use it, I had some that I forgot about. They were fine. They were like whatever,
Yep.
because I don't freeze everything. But now, I'll show you, not anybody else. If I showed you it's my fridge and my cupboard, they're half empty.
Mm.
I had a poverty mentality because when I was a kid, we had no food.
Yeah.
You know what I did for many, many years? My psychosis,
Yeah.
I had to have a full fridge. I had to have a full
Exactly.
cupboard.
Yep. Yep.
And so these fears, so that's why you'll get craft dinner, like case buying stuff. Sometimes you have to. So go back. So those are my throw-ins.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And just sort of going back, it's so funny. So I was a waitress at a Greasy Spoon, and then for the equal amount of time, I was a waitress, also known as a server, in a fine dining establishment. I was shocked when I went. So when I was in the mom and pop place, we made a turkey every week. We made a roast beef every week, all of the things that incorporated those. It was all real, everything. When I flipped over, and both of these places are closed now. When I flipped over to the dining room, it was in a hotel. When I flipped over there, I had never heard of instant mashed potatoes. They mix them in with the real potatoes. I was shocked to find out bag salad. I was like, what? And they just ripped open that bag just like everybody else had in their crisper in their fridge, added a couple fancy things. They're like, our dinners were high end. This was high end, surf and turf with a bag salad. What is happening?
So why
So,
why?
yeah, it's all the bottom line.
So
So
why?
cheap,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
So
exactly.
circle back, but we'll come back. Circle back. AI. So in the restaurant, cheap labor. You didn't have to pay the labor to do it. You didn't have to have that
Oh,
cost.
absolutely. And we had every kind of chef. We had them all. Like our chef was from somewhere abroad. He had an accent and swore a lot. We also had like all the different chefs. Like we had it going on. We had a big banquet room. It was amazing. Somebody could have made a salad for Pete's sakes, or done the potatoes. But going back to, it is all by design. Doritos has a science team that makes sure you're going to get the flavors that is going to keep you coming back for more, right? I think knowledge is key. So, how about like one of the things I do every once in a while, and of course, it's not for everybody, and you can't always find them. Emily probably wouldn't be able to off season, but like I would go when the guys were all working at Fibrex, I'd go and I'd just randomly make a turkey and I'd break it all down, freeze some, great for sandwiches, great for one dinner, because it was only like the three or four of us or whatever. So making big, like, do you do batch cooking at all? Or did you used to?
No, part of it's my background, but it's funny. I was gonna when you said turkey, I said like I cook a small turkey, also known as a chicken.
Yeah.
Um, but I just did one because they were on sale, two whole chickens in a package for like, I don't know, $18 or whatever. And what I
Nice.
ended up doing is we made it chicken, potatoes, whatever. And then
Yep.
what I ended up doing was freezing the carcass.
Yeah.
And then I took out of the freezer and then I made 4 quart of stock. And
Nice.
then I made so then I took out the freezer. Then I made a big pot of chicken soup that even my wife said, "Hey, that's like one of the best chicken soups." So part of it is knowing, like to do that, like you said. So I'm not a big put everything in the freezer. Like what goes in the freezer has to make sense. I know people
Yeah.
that freeze cheese, which they freeze ham. And the thing with ham, it'll crystallize. You can, like, if people want to do it, do it. Like,
Depends what I'm going to use it for. Like
I'm not,
cheese will crumble, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just a bit of a snob. Like, I freeze Parmesan cheese, right? But going to batch cooking, if when my kids come
Yeah.
and we're in a place like whatever goes on, right? And
Yep.
all of a sudden, I'm not living with one person 4 days of the week. I'm now living with five. Then, but also teaching my grandkids. But then, and
Exactly.
my daughter
Yep.
is, and they all love to cook. So now we're going to talk about cooking and not wasting. And
Exactly.
the thing I'll say is, unfortunately, they have. It's easy to have a sugar addiction, especially kids, right?
By design. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so training help. That's why we do the show, helping people um, like I say all the time, even when I'm working with people, I said, look in the mirror, be a truth teller to yourself.
Yep.
You don't have to fix everything in a day. You know what? Eating, like you said right now, and you've said this before, if your budget, you have to go look for pickles or peanut butter at a dollar store, go
Yeah.
do it. Like
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing more people that have more money in dollar stores.
And I have to say, Dollar Store is pulling up their game with their products. I was there the other day. They had Cheese Whiz, like name brand,
Yeah.
Cheese Whiz, peanut butter, hamburger helper, rice-a-roni, manwich, like legit manwich in a can, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I think
And
do what
see,
you need to do, right?
I'm a bit of a snob for that. So the only thing I would buy there is my son loves Insta soups. So when he goes off to second part of
How
college,
does that make you a snob?
I don't buy, I hardly buy, you know what I buy there? I buy this big bag of popcorn
Yeah.
and I have a popcorn maker. I can do it just lazy, right? Is I don't do a lot of prefab instant foods
Yeah,
outside
so
of,
that's not a snob. That's
no,
yeah, it just
but
doesn't have what you
do,
need.
do you have a Dollarama there?
Yeah,
Okay. So there's nothing
that's
in
what I'm
Dollarama.
talking about.
Dollarama, nothing's a dollar anymore
I know.
in BC.
Dollar Tree, but they don't
Yeah.
have name
I
brand.
got a green bag because I forgot my bags.
Yep,
And you can get the big jumbo bag that can fit a small kid in, or the
yep,
small one, and they're both $2.
yeah. Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
anyways, go back
I
to your
like to
list.
go there for my books and my writing supplies and
100%.
stickers. Hey,
Yeah.
kitchen things, all that light bulbs I went there for the other day.
Garbage
Um,
bags, all that stuff.
yeah, garbage bag, freezer bags, all that
Dish
stuff.
soap.
Yeah, great option, right? All that stuff. Absolutely, for sure. And I think when it comes going back to the cooking a bit, like I don't even think home ec is in high schools anymore.
No.
So I think, and this is something that I talk about a lot in our workshops, like be curious, be adventurous, don't be afraid, especially like if you know somebody who comes from our generation or older, get a recipe that aligns with you, that you know all the ingredients. Because I've
Yeah.
had many recipes we've shared, and I don't know how to say some of the words. I will not be doing that. Or I'm not going to do a recipe that I have to spend $15 for one ingredient it doesn't really need. Right.
Yeah.
So, but with millions of recipes online, I think that's a great way to go. And I mean, I have a lot of single members that they do. I have this one lady, she's got two freezers and she's got a wet dry board over each of them. She can tell you what's in each section. She rotates them. She's not eating the same thing twice, but she has like one weekend that she's just, you know, focused. And she's just making, six little chilies, four little meatloafs, whatever, whatever. I mean, if you think of the economics, and then you also think about, as human beings, we like the easy option, right? It's really easy to turn right and just go through that drive through if you're not prepared. But if you happen to have something in the freezer you can get out, and again, you got to teach yourself to get it out, but have something you can get out or put in the slow cooker or whatever, you're so much better for it economically, but also with your body. Because you know what? I loved what you said about the car. It's always boggled me that, like, when I knew I was buying a Honda Civic, whatever, whatever it is, I researched it, right? I researched it. I sent some pictures and some information to my adult sons. They gave me their review. I had other people, but people don't do that with their food. They will feed themselves shit and
Yeah.
not give it a second thought. But, oh, I only need the right kind of gas. Oh, I like premium wiper washer stuff,
Yeah.
whatever. But in your face, like, what is cheese whiz? Just asking. I don't think there's probably cheese in there, right? So it's just things that, like, this is regardless of what you think. If you think you have many lives, this is my only body, right? And I've inflicted a lot of stuff on it.
Until AI takes over. No.
Yeah, and then I'm a floating head. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But see, I was going to say, Michelle, you know what? And I love this, right? So, first of all, reason we do this, we nothing we do is to make people feel like, oh, that's too much for me or whatever.
No,
It's
right.
little baby steps. So, like Michelle said, so one of the things that probably what you do in some of your classes, but one of the things I had people to do, I said, okay, bit of a sticker stock. You don't have to do it perfect. Make a dinner, take home whatever you make a dinner. If you got four chicken breasts and you cook one for you and you leave like you're single, right? And
Sure,
use a potato and your sauces, say put a whatever. If you're having like gravy, ketchup, whatever, I don't care, right?
sure.
Right. And so price point your meal at home.
Yeah,
So the average outside of a noodle and rice thing, like noodle, I'm talking about buying a jar of pasta sauce and spaghetti, which is fine, right? But if you're having a protein meal, usually your plate cost is maybe $5 to $7, depending
yeah,
on what it is, right?
yeah,
So one of the things to do is, and then it's cheaper to get a full meal deal at McDonald's for $11. You know what I mean, right?
yeah.
And so one of the things, this may be something to think about down the road. We'll put it on our list, we get to it or not, and we can play with it. My son, when we cook the chicken, um, I got a spice cupboard. And again, a little bit me, but if you can buy spices at dollar store too, by the way.
Yeah,
But if you buy spices and all that, the thing is they lose about 20-30% of their effectiveness, but it's still they work, right?
yeah,
So I had them season the chicken. Well, when you put on, so I said, put on whatever you want, right? So here's the thing: if we could, and this is the cooking shows, and these cooking things have in a small way, medium way, revolutionize people's like
Love
wanting
those.
want
Yes.
to do food. But here's the thing: we should do something with with your education and what you do and what I do. I think to debug and take away this fear of cooking,
Yep.
because I'll tell people I can come home if as long as it's not frozen, right? I
Yep.
can make pretty much. Now I've been doing it my whole life. I can make pretty much anything in 20 minutes.
Yep.
That's the Jamie Oliver thing, 20-minute meals, right?
Right.
But if
Right.
you take away, like you said, if you've got potatoes and you've got whatever protein, it could be a burger and you're doing hamburger helper,
Yep.
you can not have to have 20 spices. You can use whatever spices you use. Mom uses Mrs. Dash.
Yeah. We have some. Yep.
Mrs. Dash in moderation, but it has some a mudo, gato, whatever the word I can't say in it, right?
Right.
But so once we take the fear away, we go, oh man, this is easy. Swanson dinner. I watched something about this a while ago when the old black and white commercials. And I go, I think I remember that as a kid.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah.
they're going, and it became this. What it was this is a treat, so you don't have to cook in the kitchen. Just throw this in the oven. So that's great, but all of that's taken over majority of our foods.
Oh, exactly. I
Instant.
totally believe that. I still got to make my tinfoil hat, but I totally
I almost
believe
made a
that.
tinfoil hat today for you.
That
But
was.
it reminds me because I like Star Trek. Remember in Star Trek they had this simulator?
I do love
Push
Star
the
Trek.
button. I'm
Yep.
pretty sure somewhere they've got that something further than that. But we need real food. And what Michelle's talking about, what we're supposed to talk about, but I keep interrupting, is we're trying to talk to help people or help ourselves on being well at not, putting us in debt.
Well, and that the money stress is real.
Yeah.
This is the thing. And it's so interesting because even like it's just like my grandson was here this weekend and even he was talking about how expensive food is, that sort, and we had an interesting conversation. But yeah, and yeah, about food being expensive, things being expensive, this and that. And so, that plays on, like, I wouldn't say he's worried about it, but he's knowledgeable about it, right? So when I talk about me and my dad not letting me leave my plate till I ate those stinking green beans. So when I talk about that, it's easy for me to think about what does this effect have
Yeah.
on those kids, right? On that generation coming up, right? Like it's just so interesting. So I think if you like we're smart. Everybody watching this, you're smart,
Yeah.
you're able, you're capable. You just got to sort of go old school, right?
Yeah.
Go old school. Start, get looking for recipes, go to St. Vincent de Paul, Value Village, even Dollar Store. They have cookbooks. You can get stuff online. Whenever I do like nuts and bolts,
Yeah.
yeah. So when I do I always lose the recipe. I always look one up. There's a
Yeah.
gazillion. Just about everything I've learned, I can go on to BettyCrocker.com, MarthaStewart.com,
Yeah.
Pinterest, whatever. Find and just start, even without the pressure of the money, start recreating different things. But again, you want to, like, lasagna is super expensive to make. Do you know what I mean? I don't know that I would recreate that. It would cost me more than buying a frozen one. But things like your salads, your salads, different things like burgers, right? Like, are you buying burger like patties, 6 or 8 in a box? Or are you buying beef, making your own, where you can, like in our burgers, a lot of times I'll put onion soup mix. I can get that also for like 99 cents. I
Yeah.
use, depending how many hamburgers, I'll use, just a portion of the package. Everybody loves them. I've had barbecues and they're like, Michelle's burgers are the bomb. And I'm like, yeah, they are. It's onion
So
soup mix.
we're the burger, me and Ethan, that's our jam, burgers.
Yep.
And so we would go out probably once a month. We don't do it much anymore, but we would go to a place and judge the burgers.
Oh, fun.
And oh, my dog's here. No, stay here. No, it's okay.
You
We're
don't have a
almost done.
dog.
But then, no, it's my button to my house to come in. If you push it, it's rough, rough,
It's
rough,
a,
rough, rough. It's just weird. But Ethan's favorite burger after all we do, and we do it at home, and we used to buy from the butcher shop frozen burgers, made the butcher
okay.
shop, but we started buying just a burger. Now, not in the tube because it's got filler,
I
anyways.
can't do that one.
But we buy a burger in a pack, and we bought a pack. We bought a 1 kilo pack. I
Yeah.
a little bit. He does smash burgers. He makes his own burgers, has his own seasoning, sauces, and all that. And he,
Perfect.
right.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And when you do it yourself, like if
and
I'm doing them and everybody's here, Xavier and Alec are plain, can't even put onions or spices. You know what I mean? So you can really cover a broad variety of people with their
yeah,
own likes and wants. And then you can cover them all, make it yourself. It's a little bit cheaper. And the proudness of
yeah,
accomplishment. I love it when everybody's fooled, thinking
yeah.
I did all this hard work, right? It's so good.
Well, and then you can include.
Confidence.
So Teresa and I watched the movie Sunday, so Friday night. So it's on Netflix. It's brand new. Came. It says about my father. So it's not really what we're talking about, but it's about this frugal Italian guy who's played by what actor is it, Teresa? Oh, she's busy. Robert De Niro.
I'm not a fan.
Well, you watch this, but
I saw the movie. I saw
oh,
the
did
clip.
you?
I saw the clip. Just
Okay,
yeah, I'm
but
not a
it's
fan.
about
So
but it's about the rich. It's about the difference where oh no, don't worry about the price. Oh no, don't worry about that. So, anyways, we thought it was cute,
oh,
but
funny. Yeah,
yeah,
awesome.
it's just interesting about like what we would wrestle or be important to us,
Yeah,
different dynamics of our level of wealth, I guess, would
so
be
true.
different, right?
Yeah,
But
so
still,
true.
we're not trying to help the rich, they can help themselves and they should help other people. But what we're trying to do is come up with opportunity cooking. The reason I was mentioning that movie, cooking is family, having that like you do the Sunday night thing, right?
Usually, yeah, usually, yep, yep. Because the
Yep.
kids will be over or whatever, and then I can do it early. I have some freedom that way. But yeah, and then the only other thing that I was going to mention, sort of on the same line, is using things you already have. And we should another time as well talk about like disposable clothing. Like it's amazing the disposable things we have now that we would never. And again, it's I'm getting my hat. It's by design because they don't want things to last forever. The Maytag man is officially out of business, but it's so interesting. Like, they make like cheap clothing, for example. You'll be able to get a $5 or $7 t-shirt at your local mall. So somebody will say Nicole, for example, she'll go, she sees this shirt, she's got an event, and she doesn't care if she wrecks it, or she doesn't care if it get ripped or she spills something on it because it was only $7. She's going to throw it out, fill the landfill, and then she's going to go back and repeat, right? And unlike the AI, they're using slave human labor,
Right.
and the cycle it continues. So it's easy to say it's only $7, but if you do that every weekend, 7 times 52 is 300 and something dollars.
Yep.
So it all adds probably 400 and something. So it all adds up, right? So even when you think about containers, when we talked about the don't buy water,
Right.
we have a Brita, but we have um, stainless steel or good solid, like solid plastic is good. It's the stuff you can crunch that's not good, right?
Right.
So we have good bottles that we use all the time, and then we just refill. And when in
Yeah.
I know Alec, my son, he was buying water bottles for a while, and then
Keep
he's
keep keep going for a sec, Michelle. I'm going to
yeah,
be here. I'm just going to turn off my camera and mute me. I'm still
that's
here.
fine. No, it's fine. So it's so funny. So he's my son that is gluten free, trying to be sugar free, which is easier said than done. So he's trying to be those things, but then he was buying bottled water. And I was like, and then he says, because he's got more money than any of us. So he says, well, it's only like $1.99 or whatever. So cost effective, but if you're going to actually pay attention to what your how your body's functioning, and if you're going gluten free and sugar free, why would you put those toxins in from the bottled water? So it's such an interesting thing when you think about clothes that we have that we recycle, and we just buy new ones. That's a big thing. Even, your cups, your plates, your containers, really easy to buy new things. Actually, I'm going to share. Tom shared with me, and then we'll go in a minute here. But Tom shared with me this little snippet, if you will, and I'm just going to share it. It sort of ties in with what I was just saying. So 10 shocking stats about um, how your stuffs that will blow your mind. So it says we only use 20% of our clothes. The rest just sits in our closet. A great activity, and you may have seen it before, a great activity that they've talked about is turning all your hangers one way. And at the end of a calendar year, whatever ones that haven't been turned around, those are the ones to get rid of. It's funny because I coach one group not through Zoom, and they notice I rotate the same three tops all the time. I always have black pants on because I try to have a minimalist lifestyle. The next one, number two, the average home has, wrap your head around this, 300,000 items, most of them rarely used. When I go and I try to clean out a closet, a cupboard, I have shoes from people that haven't lived here in years. They all need to go in the dumpster. Number three, Americans spend 1.2 trillion annually on non-essential goods, stuff we don't really need. I can look right around where I am right now. I'm surrounded by things I don't really need. Number four, this one I totally got. Toys have increased by 500% in 50 years, yet kids play with just a handful. I cannot believe, especially as somebody who is a single mom for a long time with three kids, never got child support, I can't believe how much people spend on their kids at Easter and at Christmas. But Easter specifically blows my mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So, yeah. And now it's not just toys, it's devices. I am so glad I don't have little kids that all want switches for Christmas or whatever, right? All that stuff. Next thing, number five, 9% of plastic waste is recycled. The rest ends up in landfills or oceans. We're seeing more about that, coming out in documentaries. Storage units in the US could fit every person in the country, and they're still growing. When I
Yeah.
watch different shows on hoarders, almost all of them have storage units. Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? Like there's no way you know what's in there. That's so wild. And then
But
they're
there's
not.
either a fear with
Yep,
hoarders, I believe.
yep,
There's a fear, a paralyzing fear of not enough.
yep,
And then and then I've had some courses on this or they've talked about this where sometimes there's a something emotionally or mentally
yeah.
like
I see that a lot.
a stunt where um they there's just this sense of not even just enough. I know somebody, actually a friend of mom's a long time ago, that they had bought every week, they had the money, they bought a pair of shoes or every week or every second week, and in the closet that had hundreds of pairs of shoes, nice shoes,
Yep,
the person only wear three or four.
yep. Wild. I notice in a lot of those documentaries that they're
Yeah.
tied in with mourning and grieving a lot.
Yeah.
Like the husband died, and then they just,
Yeah.
they replaced it with shopping or whatever, right? What's the next one? We throw away 81 pounds of clothing per person each year, yet fast fashion's hidden cost. Next one, electronic waste is growing 3 times faster than any other waste. Old gadgets pile up fast. I have bought a printer because it was cheaper to buy the printer than buy the
Indeed.
ink, right? It's wild. Next one, 25% of people with two-car garages can't park in them because too much clutter. We have a garage. You know how many cars are in there? Zero. And we all have cars here. And then the last one, decluttering reduces stress. Too much stuff, can't read the last sentence, but I think we get it. Too much stuff. Can you see what it is? I don't think so.
I'll find it for you right now.
Something that overwhelms the brain. I got it.
Right.
Overwhelms the brain. That's what it is. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that because it really encompasses the whole thing. And it's it's life in general that got us to this spot. Like I
Yeah.
always feel that with the hoarders or whatever the situation is, that you have to just let go how you got there, learn from it and move forward,
Yeah.
right? Like we can't dwell on, and part of my conversation with Xavier was sort of him collecting information of how he thinks we got to this situation. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Right? Because we can't dwell on that. We just have to be better. Like, I can't fix it. I just have to be better moving forward. Use
You
my
know what?
tools.
You know what opened our eyes, Michelle, when Teresa and I sold our townhouse
Yep.
3 years ago. So as we were selling it, her brother's a realtor. So he says we need to stage the house.
Yep.
So he says, so we rented a small um, room and we put out some bookshelves and 30 boxes of books.
Yep.
A few of them were mine. Um, and and then you realize after that, you're going like, if I put this in a storage unit,
Yeah.
then I don't need it, right?
That's right.
So here's my vulnerability. I think I shared this last year. I shared it again, right? So for me, and because I want to talk about justification, because I'm going to end on that, and you can finish up.
Okay.
So for me, if I took a picture of my closet, I would be embarrassed.
Oh,
Um,
me too.
I I have some work clothes because I'm in sales, so
Yeah.
semi-professional jeans actually, and then I wear long shirts that I don't tuck in because I have from the cancer surgery in my stomach. I have a big um, hernia.
Yes.
So I have t-shirts. So my goal is, and I was at 300 pounds a year and a half ago. So I think I'm down to 75,
Ooh,
and
nice.
which is great. But so in my closet, I was just looking at the hangers the other day. I have one part of it. All of the price tags are on these shirts. I bought these shirts to encourage myself, to challenge myself, to keep working on losing weight so I can go down a shirt size, right? Um, I'm a hoarder with shirts, if I'm being honest, right? So
Mhm.
psychologically, like, so here's the simplicity of it: lose weight first, then buy the shirt, obviously. But in that moment, that was the way my coping mechanism, right?
That's
So
right.
in my closet, and by the way, which is embarrassing, I buy the cheap. This is a nice shirt, but I buy cheap Walmart shirts because I use a 4 or 5X because of the belly, right?
Sure.
And
Yep.
so I'll buy, $8 or $10, and then 4, 5, 6 weeks or whatever, I buy another one, like you
Yep.
said, right?
Yep.
And then what I do is I have a friend who owns a chimney company. So after he's not big, he's tall, right? So then I've given him probably in the last 3, 4 years, maybe 4 bags, garbage bags
Oh,
full of shirts.
yeah,
So
good.
that's a good thing. But in
Great.
my closet, so I was looking at it the other day, I said, you know what I need to do? Because this is helping somebody else. I'm going to probably put it on some type of marketplace and sell it.
Good. Yes.
So
Yes.
so I'm releasing that burden. It's not really burden, but that mindset. but then I'm helping somebody else that's going to get, like, say from Winners or from, I don't know, Marks or wherever. They're going to get like a $30, $40 shirt that they can probably
Yeah.
get for 10, $15.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
so, but
Yeah.
looking at it, but see, I can look at it and I don't go into like self-pity, but because I understand a bit of psychology, I go, man. So I laugh at myself. I look in the mirror. I said, dude, you're so funny,
Yeah.
because
Good.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to motivate myself. So,
Right.
anyways, I'm gonna do that in the next month. You
Okay.
asked me.
I
You asked me
will.
live
I'll
when I do it.
remind you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna make a note with my pen
yeah.
right
So yeah,
now.
see my pen.
Yeah.
We pass pens to each other magically.
That, that you got a red one, we can make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm done. That was my
so
last. Sorry.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I was just gonna say, it's so interesting when you're saying about the shirt sizes. A conversation I have with a lot of my members is that as they're losing weight, they hold on to their bigger clothes they don't wear anymore just in case they need them again, which doesn't align
Yeah.
with the uh, the confirmation that you're going to stay successful. It's such an easy thing, right? So quite often I'll present the option of just save that one best outfit or whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm especially with everything going on right now. If you can donate your clothes, your dishes, anything that you're not using or you've accumulated, or sometimes people, oh my gosh, they'll will us. I have a lot of teacups in my basement from my mom. And I think, well, what I'm saving them to sell them one day might be realistic, might not, but like all that stuff, what are you saving it for if you're not using it? And in reality, it's not going to have a value down the road. So give it away. We've talked about this before. No better feeling than tithing or random acts of kindness or giving it back. And I'm sure your town is just like my town, that there's homeless shelters, we talked about that before, churches that have clothing closets. Our Lambton College, they have a clothing closet as well. And they would love your stuff. And I'll tell you why I'm thinking of that, not to send it here, but for an example, because people come to the clothing closet to get interview clothes, right? I used to do a
Yeah.
clothing drive, and I did it for probably 5 or 6 years. My members were my biggest donors because and big sizes are hard to find. So they would donate, but I always let my friend Tammy, she worked at Lambton College, she came through first, and it was men's dress clothes she was after for all the people. And she said sometimes they were so hurting for, because you want, especially here, you're applying in the valley, like in the like Shell or Dow or whatever, and you need to be dressed for the job appropriately. She said some of these guys were so struggling to have the right outfit just for an interview because they're not going to wear it for work. They would schedule their interviews and share the same suit. Can you imagine being the interviewer? That's the seventh guy that's had a green striped tie. But it is what it is, right? I mean, so when you think of that, perspective is key. You don't know unless you don't know until you know. But that, I thought that was really interesting as well. So think about that. And sometimes that sort of takes the shift away. Like if you're holding on to stuff because of that lack mentality, once you put it in the perspective, it makes me think of the kid with the soother, that you're trying to
Right.
get the baby to not have it anymore. And then have you ever heard of people take the baby to the mailbox and let them throw it in the mailbox so it can be mailed to another baby because you're not
Yeah.
a baby anymore? Sort of same thing, but an adult scope, right? So, what a great topic this week. I can finally get rid of this piece of paper that's been on my desk
Yeah. I
for
think,
like
like,
three
I
weeks.
think, I think I like what you said. So part of it is because we're talking to people like that. If you want to be a minimalist,
Yep,
then start small. Like if you've got stuff outside of like seasonal stuff in the garage or in the
yep,
basement, like you said, if you need some money, sell it on a local thing.
Yeah.
If you don't need the few bucks, then give it to charities or whatever.
Sure.
I did the video at the beginning, and I had my friend with me, Miles, and I had an extra winter jacket, and we gave it to the guy in the street, and we did the interview,
Exactly.
right? And we gave him bottles, and like a bag of bottles. Then he goes, "No, I'm good, but oh, this person come, they could use the bottles." See, one of the things about generosity.
Yep.
So all the stuff we're talking about, like watch what you're spending, your budget, blah blah blah, right? But I find when we become generous to others and letting go, we become generous to ourselves, but not in the way of things. It's not about
Right.
things. Your heart becomes a little less cluttered, a little less fearful, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to try to do, so you mentioned the interview thing. I know a couple of recovery houses for addicts,
Oh,
and they
yay.
go through a program,
Yeah.
and then part of the program near the end is resume and final. So these are guys that are don't would have a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, maybe the whole, that's
Exactly.
enough, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow up in a month with that. I'll either do that or I'm going to sell them, right?
Okay. Well, and selling them's good too. And
Yeah.
just a little side note, I don't know if you're good at that, but Nicole would be my go-to. Maybe Emily. Like Nicole, she'll be like, "Hey, can you go pick up something on, I don't know, ABC Street? It's a $5 whatever." I'm like, that's not part of my world, but
Mom
she's
does
got
that to me
yeah, does she? To go buy something for $5 from some
for,
stranger's house?
for $2 across town.
Yeah, it's $8 in gas to get the two.
But you know what it is? I find that there's some people that are bored or this, they need that movement. So
Yeah.
that becomes cheaper than going to the mall.
Well, and you recycle it. Like it's
You know?
Nicole bought I don't know, I forget she bought because she's got the baby now. And she bought something for him and she was like, "Yeah, I don't know, but I bought it." And I looked at her and I go, "Nicole, you'll just sell it after." You'll get your
Yeah.
10% use out of it or whatever. You'll sell it or like and they network. They're different than I am mentally
Yeah.
as far as they do a different, we're used to old school networking. They're a different kind of networking.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, so if I had something to sell, I'd be like, "Here's the pictures, Nicole. I'll split the money." Help
Yeah.
me,
Well,
right?
back in our day, depending on family that, but everything was a hand me down, right?
Yeah,
So Tammy got my clothes, and then Tim got Tammy's clothes,
that explains a lot.
and everything, right?
Sorry, Tim. That's
But
right.
yeah, Tim, sorry,
Absolutely.
we know you'll never watch this probably, but we love you.
That's right. And you look great in that skirt.
Yeah.
So I've got a quote. It's a Martin Luther King Jr. quote.
Love it.
Be the best of whatever you are. Full stop.
Yep.
Right? It's all we
There's
need to do. Yeah.
there's one of my favorite scriptures, and it's from the movie called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Okay.
And it's I don't know what they say be excellent to each other.
Love it. It's really that simple.
Bill and Ted, come on.
Right? Hey, I follow Joe Dirt. I feel ya. I get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So
Well, I'm out of
everybody,
here.
that's it for today. Tom's going back into the weeds, and I don't even know where I'm going, but we will
What's
see you
happening to
next week.
me?
Yeah, go back in there like Homer Simpson going into the bushes. So we'll
All
see
right.
you next week. It's going to be great. Um, if the so I'm doing a June self-care calendar. If you're interested in that, email us wellnessforlife@gmail.com. Don't
Yeah.
forget to like and subscribe. If you
Yeah.
want to turn on the notifications, you can, but it's up to you. Even if you like it and subscribe, we're going to come up in your YouTube news feed.
And if you subscribe, so pass this on if you think there's value, even if there's
Yeah,
a little bit of
please.
value. We're pretty normal people. But the thing that you post, Michelle,
Yeah.
if you subscribe or whatever, we'll throw that in just so you have that. You can cut it from your fridge or
Oh,
save it on your
100%.
laptop, because those types of things, I just found that, and those types of things are, oh, I want to remember that. So I'll put it in a folder on my laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so we'll always pass on things that we hope are helpful.
Exactly, exactly. And even if you watch the replay, and I know the majority of you do, if you go ahead and you put any sort of comments in the chat or the comment section under the video, it
Right.
flags us and we could go and we could respond. Maybe you've
100%.
got a great idea we haven't thought of. We
100%.
need that idea. Share it with us. That's right. All right. Have a great one. Don't forget how awesome and amazing you are and worthy. That's where we get lost sometimes. So don't forget that. Take care. See you next week. Same time, same channel, same two people.
Bye.
They can't change us out. That's what I'm saying there. Good.
Yeah, my